Hello, today we are going to talk about how things are going with Bluevine, the fintech company that I'm using for my business checking account. Now, for a brief refresher, after a brief but frustrating search for a business checking account, we decided to try a fintech company, Bluevine, for our business needs. We bank at a credit union that does not do business in Ohio, where two of our rentals are located, and we wanted to have a bank that was national or had branches in Ohio because that's what's recommended or was recommended to us when we set up our LLC for the rentals. So I talked about this in other videos, but I've had applications at Bank of America and US Bank. They were either ignored or they wanted me to appear in person to prove my identity. I don't live near a major city, so some banks don't have branches in my area. That means that I'd have to drive quite a ways to get to the bank branches. And I just wasn't willing to do that. So I decided to give Bluevine a chance. So let's talk about how things are going with that. First, though, let's talk a little bit about what fintech is. Fintech stands for financial technology, and fintech companies strive to provide financial solutions that are easier to access than those of traditional banking institutions. This is a great idea, but providing financial services without physical branches can be challenging. As I mentioned, one of the reasons that I decided to go with Bluevine is because Bank of America wanted me to show up at their branch. US Bank, I don't know, like there's just something about those banks you really should just go in and apply, because even though they offer, online applications, it seems like they really want you to come in and do things. They want to verify your identity that way, even though you can easily do that over the computer. They're still kind of old school with that. And so I really love the idea of fintech, but some of these companies are not able to complete basic banking transactions. And this is one huge red flag against fintech. If there is a fee for depositing cash, or if customer service is virtually non existent, then fintech isn't suitable for small businesses. And so far, that has kind of been an issue. Like, I don't want to go into a branch, but if there's something that I can't resolve on my own from home, I need to be able to either talk to somebody on the phone or go into a branch. Well, the problem that I've experienced with the few fintech companies that I've used is that you often can't get somebody on the phone and there's no branch. So those are just, a couple of red flags there. And I have definitely experienced some of these things with Bluevine. So let's just get into it. It is my opinion that Bluevine is just not quite ready for showtime. Now, Bluevine has been around since I think like 2013, so it's been around for a while. And I love supporting smaller outlets, and I obviously love doing things online, but Bluevine might need to take a little more time to regroup and get some of the glitches straightened out. 2 weeks ago, I transferred money to my Bluevine account from my Ally Bank account. The money came out of my Ally Bank account with no problem, and it looked like the money had been delivered to Bluevine. My balance showed that the money had been deposited, but the next day, after the deposit finally cleared, which, by the way, it took several days to clear because everything with Bluevine takes a lot longer than with any other financial institution I've ever worked with, and that's not an exaggeration. So, for example, if a transfer, like for example, I transfer money between my credit union account and my Ally Bank account, those transfers usually show up the next day, maybe 2 days, but never 3 days or 4 days or 5 days. And with Bluevine, it seems like 5 days is like the minimum. So this is obviously a problem. But this was really strange. So I made a transfer. It looked like it showed up in my Bluevine account. But then the next day, I got a message in my email saying that my transfer had been returned. Obviously, I was totally confused. So the next morning, I called Bluevine. The phone rang a few times, and then a message came on telling me that the customer service was not available at the time. So this was weird because it's 9 a.m. Friday morning. You say that you accept phone calls around this time. So what's going on? I can't reach you. So, of course, I give it a little time. Then I call back like an hour and a half later. So, this is well into the time that they claim that they're providing customer service. Same message. Of course, I was frustrated and scratching my head. Was the money in there or not? Was it returned or not? I needed to fund some repairs at one of our rental properties, so I was eager to get the money into the property management payment portal so the repairs could begin. But I was hesitant because I wasn't really sure if the funds were really there in Blue Vine. They said they had been returned, and because everything takes so long to happen on with their platform, if the money was returned, it probably wouldn't show up in the balance of the account for several days. So I kind of like sit there and I think about it for a while, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to call Ally and see what's going on their end, even though I knew everything was probably fine there. But I called them, made sure everything was okay. Ally Bank's customer service for banking services is very good. And they were able to assure me that the money was available at the time of the transfer. The transfer occurred, and everything had gone smoothly on their end. So the money should be in Blue Vine. But I still want to make sure. So I try to call one more time. I get the same message. And I just decided, you know what? It's showing up in my balance. Ally says that it went through. I can't get in touch with Blue Vine. They sent me an email saying that the transfer was returned, but it's there. I see it in the balance. So I just decided to go ahead, transfer the money so that property management company could get going on the repairs. I did it, and everything seemed to work out. Seemed to be fine. But in the time that I could not reach Blue Vine customer service, I mean, think about it. I could have hesitated longer. And since it was a Friday and I was going to be traveling Monday and Tuesday of the next week, I probably wouldn't have been able to get in touch with Blue Vine, or at least really try to, until Wednesday of the following week. So if I had waited until Wednesday, that would have pushed out the work order that I had waiting for me, which means that slows down the progress of the property management. And then that means that's more time that the rental is not rented. So I didn't want to push my business transactions out that far because it just slows down progress for everything. And obviously I need a bank that allows me to handle my business when I need it handled. And when I've just made a transfer and it's gone through, I just don't need the conflicting messages that it's been returned when that's not actually what happened. I don't know why I got that message, but it was very confusing and frustrating. So the main problem that I have with Blue Vine is that they waste my time. Receiving an email stating that the transfer was canceled caused me to go back through every step of the process to see where things went wrong. When I didn't find anything, I called customer service, which didn't take too much of my time because I couldn't reach anyone. But since I didn't have answers, I decided to call my other bank and talk with them. And that was after waiting several days for the transfer to clear, because all transactions, like I said, take at least 3 days when you're dealing with Blue Vine. None of this is conducive with running a small business. So Blue Vine is a fintech company, but it's not very tech savvy. To start off, the website is a bit glitchy and dated, and most of the time when I log in, before I can log in, I have to refresh the page several times. I don't know why, but after I refresh several times, then I'm able to log in. The interface is also very basic, and it's not terribly intuitive. Using the bill pay system has been completely unsuccessful for me at this point, and I have been able to avert a few disasters that, like, if I had a bigger business or a smaller business, these are mistakes that could, really end up costing me a lot of money or tanking my business if things were, if I was really dependent on just this business. So here's what happened. The bill pay system, just, I don't know, it's not intuitive, and there's no way of knowing when the bills in the bill pay system are dispersed. Weeks later, you'll see that they were paid, but there's nothing that like tells you, okay, this is going to be paid on this day. What happens is that you set it up. So I set up a bill pay for the two mortgages on April 20th because they were due on May 1st. So I thought, okay, April 20th, great. And the only reason that I waited until April 20th was because obviously I was trying to get the business banking account set up, all that stuff. So once I got Bluevine going, I'm like, cool, I'll set up the mortgages. So I set up the mortgages on April 20th. Now, with my credit union, when I use the bill pay system, what happens is that they'll tell you when the bill will be paid. So they say, okay, you're setting it up on April 20th. We're going to pay it on the 21st, 22nd, whatever. And it is never like a week away. So I set up this bill pay for the mortgages and I set it up on April 20th, the morning of April 20th, like 5 a.m. in the morning. And I'm thinking like, okay, cool, let's get this all set up. And it just says April 20th. And what it says is that it could take 6 to 8 business days to clear. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, that's a long time. So then in your little ledger online, like your balance, nothing happens. You just see that you set up the bill on April 20th. And it just doesn't really show up on your balance for even so on the day that it was supposed to, the last day, the 8th business day. I looked at my balance and I didn't see where anything had come out. So I didn't know what to think. I'm like, what is going on? Are the mortgages paid or not? So I fiddle around the system and then I go to the bill pay area and I look for paid bills. It doesn't show anything. And I'm just like freaking out. I'm like, at the time I was out of town. It was an unexpected trip, not a good one. And I'm looking at the, like the account and I'm like, so is the money gone? Was it paid? Were the mortgages paid or not? Like, I can't really tell. So once again, this is a point of frustration, but eventually 2 days later, I'm able to click on the bill pay system area and see that, those bills were paid. So I'm like, cool, the mortgages were paid. Okay, great. Well, when I did get home, like 2 weeks later, I had a bunch of mail. And some of the mail was 2 checks from the mortgage company. The mortgage company returned the checks because for whatever reason, my name was not on the bill pay, even though it's on the account. And the account number that I put in for the mortgages did not show up. So they returned it to me. They sent the checks back to me. So the mortgages were not paid. Instead, I got checks that said, we don't know what account to credit this to. So here are your checks back. So I ended up, and I was so mad. I was so mad. But so what I did was I just paid the mortgages through my Ally Bank account. And then I decided, okay, I'm just going to deposit these checks back into the Bluevine checking account. Well, once again, that's going to take like 6 to 8 business days. So I'm just like, I got to get a new account at this point. But this was really strange. I was able to avoid late fees and things like that. But I was like, what if I had been out of town longer and I hadn't seen the mail, So that was really weird. At this point, I feel like I can't use the bill pay system because the mortgages weren't the only thing that went awry. So the gas bills for the rentals, I paid those through Bluevine. And at the time, like I said, you don't get to see, oh, it went through and all this stuff. It takes a number of days for it to clear. So I'm waiting for it to clear. And I'm looking at my balance. I'm like, okay, it looks like it cleared. Okay, cool. Well, apparently it didn't clear, and I don't know why. So the balance sheet on the account is very odd. Like it seems to not be evident whether things are paid or not. I don't know how to read it. And this is strange because I've banked with obviously the credit union with now Chase, Comerica, like lots of banks over the years, and I've never had a trouble figuring out what the balance is. So this is really weird. And I'm just like, so the gas bill, once again, a couple days after I get home, I get a letter saying, hey, these aren't paid. So I go in and I have to pay them on phone and whatever. So I'm a little annoyed with that. Well, very annoyed. So basically, my Blue Vine account is one that I feel like I can't use the bill pay. Anything that you do with the account takes, like, I'd say twice as long. Well, more than twice as long as it would with a traditional bank account to clear. I mean, you're talking 6 to 8 business days is a lot. That's a lot. So it's really not a great option for businesses. And at this point, I won't be using the bill pay system at all because I don't trust it. I will be using checks, which I didn't even order them initially because I don't use checks for anything at this point. I haven't used checks. I mean, I think I wrote a check for taxes a few years ago or something. Like, I don't really use checks. So this is really like a step back for me because checks, then I have to buy stamps, then I have to remember to put it on the post and all that stuff. And it takes forever to travel that way. For example, the gas bills that I thought I paid through Blue Vine, and then I get the late notice and all that stuff. That letter that was sent out was created on May 6th. I received it on May 13th. So, I mean, like, you can see that obviously snail mail is not the most efficient, which is why, I mean, I pay all of my bills online. I don't mail anything out. But I feel like with the Blue Vine account, I can't trust the bill pay. I don't know what's going on with their system, but it's not reliable. It's glitchy. And just like they sent me an email saying that my transfer was returned, obviously there are some things wrong internally in their system because the transfer wasn't returned. So I'm thinking, like, is it the same with the bill pay, where the bill pay looks like it goes through, but then it didn't? I don't know. So moving forward, I am going to get myself together and go into a branch at Chase and apply for a business bank account. Obviously, I would love it if I could apply for something online and just go that route. But it seems that, like, the banking realm, because I guess a lot of people that, have businesses and things like that are older, the banking realm is just, it's not up. It's not really into the online world just yet. People still go into branches. And I mean, one thing that I can say about traditional banks is that generally when I need my money to go somewhere, it goes there relatively fast and I don't have to worry. So I would love to go with a smaller outfit. I'd love to go with a fintech company, but in business, you can't go around thinking that things are paid and then they're not. Or your account can't say, oh, that was returned when it's not. Like, these are just not professional things. I mean, obviously something's wrong with the business. They have some kinks to straighten out. So for now, I'll just be paying my bills with checks and over the phone, which I hate. But I will be heading into Chase next week to set up a business bank account. Chase, I've talked about this before, is not my favorite bank. I don't care for how they do customer service. If they have something fraudulent that happens, I ended up paying a lot of money years ago because somebody in Saudi Arabia hacked my account, and for some reason I was locked out of the account. And by the time I convinced Chase that I was the owner of the account, because I had moved from Michigan and I was in Utah and all this stuff and just weird stuff. By the time I convinced them, I owed thousands of dollars because this person had pulled all the money out of my account and, like, overdrawn it. And so every time it was overdrawn, I got charged fees. Well, Chase would not take off any of those fees. So that's why I've kind of stayed away from them, because I know for a fact that if something fraudulent happens with your account, I think it just happened to a few people recently it was a Zelle scam. People were calling them up and they would, say, oh, something's wrong with your account. And then they give them their account number and the people would withdraw the money. They won't be reimbursed for that. Like, And I realize that, like, you got to be careful. But when someone hacked my account, I had nothing to do with it. I didn't know what was going on until I saw that money was just leaving and it was going to Saudi Arabia. So that's why I've stayed away from Chase. But at this point, I'm thinking Bank of America is too far. I don't really have any branches near me. U.S. Bank, I don't think that there are any branches around me. Um, so I'm going to try Chase and just hope that they have beefed up security. I don't know. But at this point, I know that Blue Vine is not a good option because there's just too many problems in, the space of a month, like less than a month. So that's what's going on with Blue Vine. I wanted to really like this company, but I can't recommend it. I really can't. If you need a business checking account, to be honest, just go with a traditional bank. Eventually, the fintech companies may be better, but I just think, as annoying as traditional banks can be, one thing that I can say is that generally, you know, your money, you have access to your money. And that's something that, as a business, you need. So that's all for now. Hope everyone is doing well, and I'll see you in the next one.